Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. After a month hiatus, I'm back doing more Ray Bradbury short story reviews. I call them reviews, but they'd probably be better described as being analysis. Very quick analysis at that. But today we are kicking off another collection, the Cat's Pajamas stories from 2004. And the first story is called Chrysalis. In the foreword to the book, Bradbury explains how this is not to be confused with his 1946 sci-fi story of the same name. He explains that he just liked the name and he decided to use it for two stories, not just one. This story was also written in 1946 or 47, but was not released or published ever until 2004 when this collection came out. If you're new to the channel or to this show, the way this works is I start with a brief synopsis of what happens in the story, and then I wrap up with just some thoughts and things about what it all means, what I got out of it, where does it fit into the Bradbury pantheon, is it one of his better stories? So as for that synopsis, a young black man named Walter has just arrived from Alabama to California, where he's living with his mother. Late that night, his first night there, he stays up and he's examining the contents of several bottles on the shelf. In a secret from his mother, he's purchased a bunch of skin lightening lotions because he wants to have lighter skin. Because of racial issues from being discriminated against, and he thinks that he can make his skin lighter. The next day, he goes down to the beach, seeing the ocean for the first time. He's never seen the ocean. He's hungry. He goes to a hot dog stand, and he is surprised that the man who manages the stand tells him to get the hell away from here. I'm not serving you. He uses the N-word, and he's very displeasurable, a bad person. And Walter is surprised to be treated this way because he thought that California would be different. From there, he heads down to the beach where he sees a young man, a white man, who seems to be watching his arms intently. They meet each other. This man's name is Bill, and he is trying to get a dark tan. He wants to be darker, whereas Walter wanted to be lighter. They become friends very quickly. They play volleyball together with some of the other people their age, sort of forget about discrimination. He's fitting in. They're learning things about each other. And Walter soon learns that Bill is leaving for Chicago in a couple of weeks. So they spend those last few weeks together enjoying their company. Bill attempts to perfect his tan. Walter still wants to be lighter. But ultimately, on that last day, Bill, feeling hungry, gives Walter a few dollars and asks him to head up to the stand and to try and buy some hot dogs again. The man, of course, mistreats him. Bill, not having any of this, being a friend of Walter, goes up and, with his dark tan for a moment, it seems as if the man doesn't recognize him. But finally he does, and he offers to serve him, and Bill tells him to get lost. You know what? If my friend's not good enough for you, you don't deserve my money. So they go back down to the beach. On that last day, before he leaves, Bill notices his skin is beginning to peel, and with the help of Walter, in a kind of an odd scene, he helps him peel the sheets of skin off of his back where his sunburn and his tan is coming off, revealing the same pale white skin that was there at the beginning of summer. Okay, so we live in difficult times for the arts, where there's constant, editing of old works and banning of works and reevaluations of works, and so I came into this a little bit apprehensive. This story could have been a train wreck, but you have to remember it was written in the 40s, and as such, I think Bradbury's probably a little bit ahead of his time. And of course, with his very gentle touch, it turns out to be anything but a train wreck. It's very sensitively handled, and you never feel as if anyone's being antagonized, and there's an earnestness to it that Bradbury, and perhaps only Bradbury, could bring, at least in my reading experience, and so that's quite lovely. It's titled Chrysalis, and that's literally the transformation of a butterfly from its immature state into its full adult state. And in a literal sense, both of the boys sort of go through that transformation here by learning more about each other and sort of, in the case of Bill, yes, the skin peels and reveals something, but he's also, along the way, he learns things about Walter, such as he never imagined that Walter would worry about getting sunburned, because you wouldn't think that a dark skin would get sunburned, but it actually does. And then, of course, Walter learns of Bill that these tans are only temporary, and they go away if you don't tend to them. The story could have been about hate and hate alone, but really it's about the transformation of these two people from a state of ignorance to a state of knowledge, and from a state of immaturity to a state of maturity. And I quite like it. The hot dog tender, or the hot dog store vendor, is an older person. His views have calcified. He's stuck in his hateful ways. Whereas these young people, and young people in general, and which is why young people and old people, new generations, old generations, are always at odds with one another in real life, is that when you're young, you are still impressionable, you're still malleable, and you have a chance for your views to change. And in this case, I think these two people would forever be changed by their experience, learning to view each other better, but also being more confident in themselves, and knowing that the state they are in is not changeable as such. It's superficial, but also, in a sense, permanent. Any change, the white kid becomes tan, but it's temporary. Walter can use lotions to temporarily make his skin lighter, but it may not last, because the layers of the skin will return. But yeah, I quite liked it. I was apprehensive when I began reading the description of the story and Bradbury's thoughts on the story in the foreword to the book, but it was quite nicely done, and it seems like it'd be a good story for teaching in schools today, as long as you can prevent Republican school boards from finding out about it and having it added to banned lists, that is. All right, then. Next up, we'll be looking at story number 2 from the Cat's Pajamas stories, which is The Island, written in 1952. So please be sure to tune in next Saturday for another episode of Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later.